Good morning folks. Before I even start today's video, I just want to say I was really excited about coming here and making some very positive content, but that's already going to be a challenge because last night I stayed in what was, pound for pound, probably the worst room I've ever booked. I've had about an hour and a half sleep, so this is going to be tricky today, and I'll go into that towards the end of today's video, but for now, please just forgive me if I'm not really on it today, but I'll do my best. Right, so I'm all fresh-faced and ready to go, and today's video is going to be about public transport here in the Faroe Islands and how you don't need to book an official tour or even hire a car to see this group of 18 islands, because the Faroes has one of the best road networks anywhere in the world, including 50 kilometres of tunnels that bore through mountains and under the sea. Not only that, but they've got 10 ferry routes, they've got 23 inter-island coach routes, and any bus here in the capital Tórshavn is completely free, so you just jump on and off as often as you want. So today I'm going to use my 4-day pass that cost me about 50 quid, and I'm going to go on an inter-island coach, a local bus, a ferry that's included in the pass, and also one that's not, and I think that's where we'll start this morning. Right, so we're now at the smaller second harbour, and this will take us along towards the ferry and bus terminal, and from there we'll catch an inter-island coach that will take us to Sorvagur. Sorry about my pronunciation, by the way. Faroese, it's going to be all over the place. But from Sorvagur we're going to catch a ferry to possibly the greatest of all the Faroe Islands, Mykonos. But we're only getting the ferry there and straight back again. We're not going to be staying on the island for two reasons. Number one, time. We've got a lot to do today. And number two, we'll go into a wee bit later. Sorvagur?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
All
Yeah,
good?
okay.
All good. Thank you. I was actually going to get a slightly later coach, but this one was just sitting there, so I just decided to jump on board. Now this is the 300, which will take us to the airport, so it's the bus that I got from the airport last night, and it will go on from there a couple of miles up the road to Sorvagur, and that's where we will get our next ferry. We weren't actually that far out of Tórshavn when the fog closed in a bit, making me wonder, was a ferry trip a good idea today? But I needn't have worried, the weather here changes even quicker than in Scotland. So with that, enjoy some of the sunny views on our journey to Sorvagur. It really is a stunning place, isn't it? And I rejoin you here after about an hour where we've passed the airport and arrived at the end of the line in Sorvagur. I hope you can see how comfy those buses are. And it was perfect for me, someone who needed a wee nap this morning after that 1 hour sleep. Now, my ferry is in about 2 hours time, so I'm just having a wander the other way to have a look at the end of the airport runway. You can tell why the planes need good brakes in these parts. Ah, it does open. Good. Aye, how nice would this be as a plane spotting bench? Aye, so up here at the top of the hill there's a reasonable view of the end of the runway, and I can see the other way, the airport terminal, and there's some people boarding a flight, so I might just hang about and watch that take off. The only problem is there's not a breath of wind today, so I'm guessing that in conditions like this a pilot can decide to take off whichever way they want. Is that the case, or let me know in the comments. Right, while we're just waiting for this plane to load up and leave, let me tell you a wee story. Now, the last time I was here on the Faroe Islands in 2015, I actually took a helicopter from the airport out to the island of Mykonos that we're going to today in the ferry. Now, back in those days, that's me saying back in those days like it's so long ago, in 2015, the helicopter services were heavily subsidised, even for tourists. So that cost me about 10 quid one way to go by helicopter. These days it's up to about 50 quid. It's still subsidised for locals, but quite rightly not for tourists. But the idea back then was to get the helicopter over there, spend a bit of time in the island and then get a ferry back. But then the ferry was cancelled because of bad weather. It just couldn't get into the harbour on the island. So I ended up having to rough it. I mean, literally just sleep outside until the next day when the ferry could get in. So that was an adventure. So I'm quite happy that the weather is so benign today. We're not going to have any problems like that. I'm not going to get stranded again. I'm looking forward to it. I wish I could have taken a helicopter again. But today is Tuesday and the helicopters only run Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So again, my timing is pretty poor. But we'll come back and do it one day, I'm sure of it. Even though I'm terrified of helicopters. Eventually the departing A320 appeared for its takeoff, and being the same aircraft I got back to Edinburgh, I was able to use this as an opportunity to get some B-roll footage for my flight review. So you might recognise this from last week's video. Well, typical. Even though the breeze is so slight, he took off with the wind. The wrong way. I was wanting him to go out that way, over Sorvagur. It would have been beautiful. Anyway, it was still pretty cool, wasn't it? Well, we're down in the village, but I'm still a bit lost, and I just hope there's a wee shop and get some breakfast, even just a drink, just some water. I really need some water. Ah, shop. What a place this is, eh? And now I've got water, I've got bananas. I know you're not meant to eat bananas on boats, I heard that, but it's all I can afford. So it looks like I missed a bit of a hoedown here last night, but anyway, it was great to see the town before walking along to the ferry. Now be sure to check the bus timetables closely online, as some of the buses will take you all the way down to the harbour, while others like mine turn back at the top of the hill. Hey, that's not a bad setting for a football pitch, eh? Aye, so for us it's a gentle stroll down to the Mykonos ferry. Not like I was in a hurry anyway, so it wasn't a problem for me. You can see here why the ferry starts away out at the end of the village. This whole bay just completely drains. So as we step aboard the wee boat to Mykonos, it's time to tell you the second reason why I won't be going ashore today, and that comes down to money. Now, I believe that the land on Mykonos is privately owned, which means they have to raise their own funds for repairs, so you're not free just to walk around these days. You need to book an official tour or pay a fee just to leave the harbour, and unfortunately that fee was around 50 quid. Now, this just didn't make sense for me as I was only going to be staying a short time, and anyway, due to a landslide, access to the bridge and the lighthouse is not permitted just now, so I'd be missing the really cool trail that I did the last time I was here. So I was happy just to take in the views from the spectacular ferry journey, one of the best anywhere I'd say. Oh, and the ferry was only about 6 quid each way, a complete bargain. That's Mykonos coming into view now. It just rises straight out the sea and it's a magnificent sight from the boat. Something to bear in mind here though, I was very lucky with the weather. It's not always like this, so if you're planning the same trip, try to book it early in your stay so you'll have the chance to rebook if it's cancelled, because I'm afraid cancellations are not unusual here, as I've found out to my discomfort in the past. For those going ashore today, it was an easy step to make, but believe me, the experience can be a bit hairy in any conditions. Even if it's not rough, big Atlantic swells can make it a tricky manoeuvre, hence the reassuring helping hand from a local resident. As we leave the harbour again, you get a good view out west to the bridge, and just before it the landslide that makes this path unpassable for now. Of course, it's a shame we weren't able to go onto the island, but you can clearly see here the advantage of taking the boat straight back. It's completely empty. Just popped inside for a second where you can actually hear me, because out there it's crazy. The swell is so big today. I'm amazed that on the way here I didn't lose one of my cameras. Never mind get any good footage, I don't think I've got much, but I hope you get an idea of what Mykonos is like. It's an absolutely beautiful island. Now, like I said out there, it's a shame we can't go ashore, but at the same time, the path that goes out to the lighthouse that I really enjoyed the last time, that's closed. And of course it'd be nice to see the puffins on the island, but we saw puffins in a very recent video, didn't we? Now we are running a wee bit late. It's 12:10. My bus is at 10:35. I don't think we're going to make it, but they're putting the foot down, they're trying hard. No, I'm afraid there's not a chance we're going to be catching that bus, but I was more than happy to slow down a bit as we passed the other side of, oh here we go, Dragarnir, and just before it my favourite sea stack of them all, Tindalmuir. With the slim chance anyone from the Faroes is actually watching this, I'm so sorry about that pronunciation. Have you ever seen anything like that? Seriously? Tack för det.
Ja, så det gör.
So there we go folks, that boat trip was beyond words. And that's why I've captured it on video. I hope you enjoyed that. I've totally missed my bus now, but I don't really care. It was worth it. Aye, that's the thing with public transport, isn't it? Sometimes things don't run to schedule, and that means I've got a bit of a wait now, about an hour and 20 minutes. That's not too bad, is it? I'm not sure if the next bus is going to come all the way into town, or if it'll just stop at that stop in the outskirts of town. So, yeah, what to do? I could actually just try walking to the airport, then I'd have Wi-Fi at least. Can do that in an hour, can't I? Here we go, in this path again. I'm just thinking the only problem with that ferry not being on the same network as the buses is that the bus might have waited for the ferry if it was. But now that we've missed it, I don't know, I think that kind of puts an end to our challenge for today of trying every form of public transport. We'll certainly still be able to take a bus in Tórshavn, but a ferry that will be included in my 4-day pass, that might be stretching it a bit. We'll give it a go. Well, I can't get the airport Wi-Fi to work, but the hot dog machine's working fine. Right, same route back to Tórshavn, so I don't think I'm going to be filming anything. I'm just going to sleep. Thank you. Right, I've jumped off the bus a wee bit early. Being a typical boy, I want to see the football stadium. I've seen Scotland play there on TV, but I want to see it for myself. I'm not even sure if I'll get a view up here, but it's worth a look. Always uphill. Well, this seems to be the highest point. I can't quite see the pitch, but it's probably designed that way. That'll be on purpose. But I think that's a cool wee stadium, isn't it? And just back down the hill here, I can see the mall, SMS Mall. Now, I do need to pick up some souvenirs. So yes, we're going to a mall, folks. It's a cool wee mall to be fair, but I'm not seeing what I'm after, which is anything with an oyster catcher on it. Because the oyster catcher is the national bird of the Faroe Islands, but all I can find is puffins. They're obsessed with puffins. But what I can do from old SMS Mall is try and catch a local bus. And even if that bus only takes me 1 or 2 stops, that's good enough for the challenge. I'm sorry, this is all the footage I have from the local bus due to a GoPro problem, but what's more to show, eh? For me it was just ticking off another mode of transport on my quest. And now that's me had a walk along what I think is the main shopping street, but I've still not found any souvenirs, any oyster catchers. Come on. Oh, fish and chips, look. Apparently fish and chips is something they get from the Scots, so we might have to have that later. Is this souvenirs? Let's have a look. I think it's a bookstore. Oh, maybe. Plenty dream catchers, but no oyster catchers. Ah, oyster catcher. At last. And this looks pretty cool. Yep, I'll take that as well. So there we go. Who do you think this is a gift for? No, not you. I'm smiling because we're back where we started this morning, and the little ferry that just went off into the mist, I think that ferry goes across to Nolsoy, which is just across the harbour. So it's a very short journey, but it would be another tick on the challenge because this ferry would be included in my ticket, I believe so anyway. Only one way to find out. Nolsoy. Thank you.
Welcome. And return is free.
All right, okay, thank you very much.
Staircase up there.
How cool is this? Just for the views if nothing else, and again, we'll probably just go to Nolsoy and come back again and not go on the island at all. I've not even checked the timetable. There will be a ferry coming back, won't there? Ah well, it's a bit late to be worrying about stuff like that now, so it's off to Nolsoy we go. Now it's just a small island, and although it doesn't look very interesting from Tórshavn, it's actually a wee gem. Enjoy the crossing, and I'll see you over there in a minute. Nah, I've changed my mind. It looks far too cool to ignore. We are going ashore. Oh well. Please come back for me turning. Look at the lines of that old boat, it's beautiful. Hope that's getting done up. This place is just a picture, isn't it? As you're about to see, or should I say hear, my time in Nolsoy was disturbed a bit by construction, but believe me, this is a peaceful wee place. There's our boy.
C'est la maison de la mort, c'est où est son grand-père.
Hey, look at this, right? It's not very far away. Number 6. Number 6. Settlement dating back to the Middle Ages. Legend has it that a Scottish princess once dwelled here. We've got to go and have a look at that. Oh no, there's my boat coming and I'm up here looking for Scottish princesses. Sorry dolls, I've got to go. I'm taking a wee wander out to the grass roofs that we passed when we were coming back into port there, and believe it or not, the red buildings right at the point, they're government offices and courts. Far too good for politicians, eh? Although if you're going to have parliamentary buildings that sum up your country, I guess it's quite a good choice of design, isn't it? It's just a shame that this one's being renovated at the moment. It spoils the whole look. There's not that many government buildings these days that you can get this close to, and you can even walk right out to the point. And believe it or not, folks, even a trip on that beauty would have been included in my 4-day pass. It's not bad value after all, is it? Oh look, Prime Minister's office. Some of these little alleyways are proper narrow. Well, I hope you enjoyed that today, folks, and I'm going to drop in a segment now about the hotel saga and how it was resolved, and I'm going to end with a look at tomorrow morning's bus journey. This is all getting very complicated. Thanks for watching, folks. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. So my room, where do we start? Well, let's start with the broken blinds, which is not great for a country where it doesn't get dark in summer, and not great for privacy either. Then we move on to the bathroom, which smelt so bad, and I mean like raw sewage, that I could barely use it, meaning I also had to swap the bed around, sleep the other way, and that meant putting my head next to a very noisy fridge. Oh, the TV didn't work either. And then let's add to that the fact there were no opening windows, so it was a complete sweatbox. But just you wait to see where they moved me after a very angry email. Well, I suddenly found myself in a luxury 2-bedroom apartment with a beautiful bathroom and kitchen, as well as a balcony bigger than our house, with incredible views over the whole of Tórshavn. I could have invited you all to stay if only you'd known. Aye, that's what I'd call an upgrade, eh? Oh yeah, I almost forgot to review the fish and chips. I'd say if we went Scotland versus the Faroes, Scotland wins the chips, but I think the Faroes wins the fish. It's absolutely delicious and so fresh. As promised, I'll finish up with some views from my bus journey the next morning between Tórshavn and Klaksvík, Klaksvík being the second largest settlement on the Faroe Islands. And that's where we'll pick up next week on an island you really don't want to miss, so be sure to tune in for that one. To summarise public transport here, I'd say it's miles better than most places despite the challenging geography of the islands. This was only filmed on one day, but believe me when I say you can get almost anywhere in the Faroes with this network, making it a simple choice for me over doing the driving myself. So thanks for watching, I hope I was awake enough to make a mildly acceptable video, and I'll see you next week. Thank you, mate.
Have a good day.